Tonight is the Academy Award-winning filmmaker of documentaries like Roger and Me, Bowling for Columbine, and Fahrenheit 9/11. His podcast, Rumble with Michael Moore, is available wherever you get your podcasts. Please welcome back to the show, Michael Moore. Michael, how are you?
Great, Seth. Thanks for having me on.
I feel as though our appearances together on this show have been cloaked in sort of an oppressive pessimism. Are you feeling a little bit more optimistic based on where we're at as a nation today?
Yes. And what are we going to talk about now?
That keeps coming up on this show.
There's a lot to talk about. Obviously, what you just covered, what's happening in Michigan, what happened a couple nights ago with the Board of Canvassers, all of this. We've had these crazy Republicans in Michigan long before Trump. So this isn't that they joined Trump's party. Trump joined their party. Remember, it was the Republican governor of Michigan that took the people of Flint off the clean water from Lake Huron and made them drink from the Flint River and poisoned the entire town. So that's the Republicans. That's the way they've always been in Michigan. And this is no different, this crazy thing that happened there where they were going to try to deny the people of Detroit the right to have their vote counted.
We've obviously talked about Joe Biden and the fact that you liked him. You met him at a DNC. What was your first interaction with him like?
I met him. Yeah, I met him at the Democratic Convention in Boston in 2004, and I was in the presidential box, which is not where I'm usually found. But President Jimmy Carter had invited me to sit with him at the convention, and of course this drove Fox News and the right wing crazy. But in one of those, when they have those luxury boxes at the basketball or the football game or whatever, I didn't realize this, but there's a whole area behind the box that's full of catered food. So naturally, I left my seat and went back to get something to eat, and in through the door comes Joe Biden. I'd never met him before, and he sees me, and he just goes like, "Holy!" Expletive. And he comes at me, he's all smiles, he's grabbing my hand. "Oh God, I've always wanted to meet you. Wow, mother, this is something. Wow." And he's just dropping F-bombs. And I'm like, whoa. And then we start talking. He wants to talk about my dad working in the factory, and my mom was a clerk, and this and that. And I knew he always said he was from the working class. But I never saw it because he always had those nicely tailored suits, perfect teeth. And within 10 or 15 minutes, I realized, wow, he is one of us. He did come from where I came from. And there's no cameras around. It's not a show or anything. He's just being himself. And I think, what Bernie had said about him, that he was a good and decent person. And I guess in those minutes there with him, I don't know, 15 minutes, can you make up your mind about somebody in 15 minutes? I guess I decided that he was that person. And I have felt through the campaign, even though I was helping Bernie, I felt that if he became president, we were going to have a chance. And even though maybe our politics didn't line up entirely, we were going to have a better chance getting our thing through.
There's really a lot of parallels with what you're saying to what Bernie has said about Joe over the years, which is, one, he always makes clear we're different on a lot of things politically. Two, though, he always makes clear that he really likes Joe Biden, and he thinks that he can get on the phone with him if need be. Obviously, one of the things progressives are up against now is the fact that the president-elect is a bit more moderate. How do you feel like progressives have to try to influence policy moving forward?
We may have to make sure our voices are heard, and they have to be heard right now while he's picking the cabinet, while they're deciding policy. This is a very critical phase. And so, but I believe that Joe Biden will listen. We may not always get our way, we may not get him to agree with us on everything, but I think that it's kind of like, he says he's against Medicare for all. But if when we get the Senate, and if we pass a Medicare for all bill and it goes to his desk, he's not going to veto it. He's not going to say, "No, what? Everybody gets health care? No way." He's not going to do that. If he's for $12 an hour minimum wage and the bill says 15, because the progressive part of this, which is really the majority, because the majority of Americans want a $15 an hour minimum wage. They want women paid the same as men. They believe that climate change is real. This is a progressive country. I've said this many times. And if the progressive legislation comes on his desk, I gotta believe he's going to sign this. He's not going to send it back. We have a better chance with him, obviously better than if Trump had won another term. And I'm surprised, frankly. I have to say that I don't know how you feel about this. If COVID hadn't come along, would Trump have won? Would he have got that second term? Because, here's the thing. I've wondered about this for months. An authoritarian, a totalitarian leader would relish to have the opportunity to tell the people, you will wear a mask. You will stay indoors. That's what an authoritarian wants to do. They want to give orders and also wants to be seen as the hero. Take the reins of this virus, kill the virus, succeed. Not Trump. No, the opposite. He doesn't do anything. He just ignores it or tries to pretend it'll go away by Easter. And now we have 250,000 dead. Seth, 250,000 dead is the same exact number of people as if you wake up tomorrow morning and you look at your phone, it says breaking news, Richmond, Virginia has been annihilated. Everyone is dead. That would be what would that do to our collective heads? And yet here we are tonight at 250,000 dead. And we're not acting like Richmond, Virginia has just been annihilated. We're not acting like there's now a 9/11 every two or 3 days. Now, I don't know what it is, but we need Biden and his team to take these reins, to get this country, as Fauci said this week, we need a national mandate of how to deal with this virus, not a state by state by state.
I want to get back, talk about that. We'll be right back with more from Michael Moore.